How are we doing, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to be discussing two very important topics on the ninja, and I would highly recommend you guys watch this to its entirety and also take on other people's viewpoints, because I am going to be not just talking about myself, but other players as well, the decisions they've made and how I've interpreted why they've made those decisions, as well as some of the reasonings they give themselves on why they're making these decisions personally. So, as you can see from your screens, I was DR a little while ago if you've been following my channel, and I've switched back to Evasion. I wanted to personally test the DR versus Evasion. A quick summary, because this is not exactly what the video is about. A quick summary, where my gear is at the minute, DR is just better in the Awakened Ninja overall. Because one, I'm just doing so much more damage. Two, I'm able to mitigate a lot of damage. And because of that, because I'm mitigating so much damage, it allows me to use stuff like Blade Spin, Katana, Illusion, and not instantly get blown up in those skills, since before going into those skills, I haven't taken much chip. And on top of that, having that really high AP, the offense kind of counts as defense. When someone gets hit by a 3 or 5 Katana, it hurts a lot, so it makes them second guess whether or not they want to stay in my range. So that allows me to use my offense as defense a little bit in some scenarios. Obviously there was some issues with DR, and most of those issues were found in terms of the succession. Now this is something Armin talks about. There's a video I'm going to be linking that you guys really need to watch. Succession's ninja's success rate highly depends. Like, yes, I know skill is important, but gear is extremely important on Succession Ninja if you want to be able to play at a high level, and in those like those 1v3s, 1v4s, or XVX kind of fights, be able to excel without instantly dying. You need to be able to do Blade Spin, you need to be able to Katana, well, I guess Red Rain in Succession, without dying. This is something that I highly agree with what he says. And unfortunately for Succession Ninja, this was fine in, like, this was true for me in RBF and most fights that I engaged in, and having a DR build with 305 AP made Succession Ninja extremely OP in RBF, extremely OP in 1v1s, extremely OP against most 1vx's that were people that didn't have the kind of gear I did. But the problem where I found was when I was GVGing against guilds like Blank and Balls Deep and Unity, when their higher geared players were in that GVG, I would just die in the Blade Spin. I would just die in the Katana and the Red Rain, because you are going to get chipped in Succession pretty significantly. Yes, you can evade chip, but you can only evade chip for so long without draining your stamina to 0. So you have to use Red Rain and Blade Spin, and usually by that point, not only are you taking chip, because you're DR, you're taking a lot of damage as well. And when other players like Hesky, like a bunch of the Suck Wizards, and Suck, what's it called, the new class, Suck Sage, when there's 2, usually just 2 is enough, but when there's 3, if 3 of them do 1 skill, you're dead. If 2 of them do 1 skill, you're dead in DR. And that really affects my performance in those kind of fights. So Evasion was just better, because I can actually survive a hit from 2 or 3 players with my Succession. And that's extremely important for being able to perform better in those fights. And that's where I find value, because end of the day, when I'm fighting people around my gear, that's what's important to me. That's not so important to you. If you don't care about fighting people in that higher echelon of gear, DR is going to be better, okay? And because of that, I switched back to Evasion, because overall, Evasion, for me, the way I play against these types of players, is more successful, okay? And that is the same viewpoint as Yelo. Yelo is in the same, I say same viewpoint. In terms of Evasion versus DR, Yelo is an advocate, from what I've heard, in Evasion. Unfortunately, I don't catch his streams as much anymore. I don't think he streams as much, and he doesn't have that many videos available to watch in terms of past streams. So it is kind of hard. I can't say with full certainty that he agrees to what I've heard him say all the time, because there are nuances and there are context that's involved. But when I've seen Yelo talk about Evasion versus DR and I've seen the choices that he's made, Evasion is better. But Yelo is also on the higher echelon of geared players on PC. So he does have a skewed, biased opinion in terms of the Evasion versus DR formula, what's better for the Ninja. He's looking at it from the viewpoint of, well, where my gear is, and the top end gear when you get into that C20 Evasion armor, Evasion is just better. And he's right, Evasion is just better. But that's not really obtainable for most people, okay? This is obtainable for people like Yelo that really do put in that time and commitment to be able to get there. So most people, like on console, it's gonna take a while for people to even get, like, we're not even gonna have the option to get to C20 till next year, right? And just because that option is available does not mean next year there's gonna be a large majority of the player base that is C20, all right? So yes, he's right, but like I said, he has a skewed, biased opinion because of where he is. However, where he is on PC matches to where I am on console. So I'm going through the Evasion route like he has, because for me, that's what's most optimal. However, now let's switch over to the PC side of things. Another really good viewpoint to look at is someone called Armin. Now I'm gonna go through some. I'm not gonna play his video, right? I'm gonna go through just some of the screen grabs, and I'm gonna be linking this video down below. I highly recommend you guys watch this, because it's gonna give you a really good perspective of Ninja from someone that isn't on that higher echelon of gear, and maybe his advice and the route he's taking is something you guys might want to consider if you're not where I am, and you don't have the time to get to where I am, because you can make an argument saying, look, I don't mind being a bit weaker going the Evasion route because I'm behind now, because in these months coming up, I'm going to be grinding, or this month/year coming up, I'm going to be grinding so hard that I'm going to get to that high echelon of player. So I don't mind being weaker right now, because this is my goal. I want to be that Evasion build because it's most OP at the end game level. But you need to understand how you want to gear. So if you are on the lower/mid range of geared players, and you don't ever plan on catching up and keeping up as well, this is important, not just catching up, but keeping up with the end game player base, then you might want to be listening more to Armin over here. Because let's look at it this way, all right? You're like, okay, well, I'm gonna hit C5 next month, right? I've got a bunch of my pen armors at the minute. I've got a few more pens to get, and then I'm caffering up. 2 months from now, I'm gonna be full pen C5 armors and weapons. Okay, that's all well and good. A few months from now, C9 is gonna be unlocked for console. Then what? I'm like, people like myself are gonna go C9, and then you're playing catch up again. So you're not gonna be as effective with your gear against players like myself because we're so far ahead of you. But are you okay with that? That's a question you have to ask yourself. Well, are you okay with that? You're not worried about fighting players like myself with my gear, in my bracket of gear. You're happy fighting with players at your bracket or lower, and that's where you get your enjoyment PvP? Fine, stick with Evasion. But if you're going to be competing with people like myself, maybe you don't want to be with Evasion, because you're going to have a lot more success pressuring players like myself with a DR build and your damage, using your damage, your offense as not only your offense but also your defense. So he does cover a bunch of these topics over here, and I'm going to touch on it a bit more in a minute. But let me go back to gear progression. All right, this is for more players that are that are either where I am right now or planning to get where I am and keep up with players like me in the future. So this is my gear at the minute. First thing I'm going to do, C5 my dandy, nice and easy. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm hopefully by the time I C5 my dandy, Tech Black Star's pushed to around the 12 bill mark. I'm looking for this to be around 12 to 15 bill before I sell it. When it hits 12 to 15 bill, I'll sell my Tech Black Star. I'll switch it over to Kazaka. I switched to a Black Star because one, I had hopes of getting to pen. I've given up on that dream. It's just way too expensive in terms of silver. It's like, I think 3.5 to 4 billion silver a click. Average of 17 clicks is what Biohack said for you to get the pen. That's just too much silver investment that I could do other things with. So I'll be switching back to Pen Kazaka with C5. It's going to give me 4 more accuracy than I currently have with Black Star. It's going to give me 2 more AP. It's not quite an AP bracket right now, but the 4 accuracy is extremely important for Awakening, because I do play Awakening every now and again. You can see here, I've gone with the Ped Red Corollary. This is more because of Awakening rather than a Succession. Again, it's a little bit of both actually. The accuracy is important for me in Awakening, because Awakening just needs accuracy and I don't have Beg's Gloves anymore, okay? But another reason is having 2 Tet Distos at the minute. Again, it's just too much of a hit for DP. So if I go Disto over here, switch it to Tet, you can see, oh, look at that, 297, 299, that's crazy, bro. I lose a DP bracket, which, you know, it doesn't sound like a lot, right? This doesn't sound like a lot, but one, this AP versus the accuracy is just really needed on my Awakening, which is one reason I'm doing it. But like, having the 347 is allowing me to live in these scenarios of fighting the members from Blank, the high-end members from Blank, fighting the high-end members from Balls Deep in the XVX, in the large scale, in the GVG, without instantly dying in one skill. So that's why I'm with a Pen RCE at the minute, Red Corollary. But eventually I will be selling this and going double Tet Distos once the accuracy belt comes out. So later down the line, there's going to be double Tet Distos here, and I'm going to have hopefully a pen, but probably just a Tet. So what it's probably going to look like in the future is, I think getting a pen belt is just going to be very difficult, but Tet is going to be obtainable. I think it's Turos, TU, yeah, it's Turos, Tet. So as you can see, this is going to just push me up a little bit as well. I'll be just 1 AP off the 293 with this build in terms of 293 AP. We're missing 1 AP from the Journal and 3 AP from Alchemy Stone, so that's pretty easily obtainable at that point. So it's just a little bit better like this. However, going back to my current plans, this is more long-term. My current plans with this Pen RCE that I have now and the Pen Bassi belt, Pen Bassi belt, this is where I'm at the minute. I will most probably, if I do this and we're still pretty far away from unlocking C9 and Vel's Heart hasn't come out, I will be switching my Heave for Griffin. Heave is really, it's the cheaper option, so right now it's good for me, but this is just better. It's more tanky, because C5 Heave isn't that great. It's the C20 Heave that really allows that tankiness, and because of the decision that PA have made on console, Griffin is just going to be better for a little while than Heave. And again, end game, Griffin is going to be better still at that point too. So I will be switching to Griffin. So that's something else to keep in mind. Obviously, whenever Vels comes out, I will be getting a Vel's Heart. That's something I'm going to be saving for. Once I've got all this, I'll be saving silver to buy a Vels when that gets released. And this is going to be basically my endgame gear goals at the minute, right? The relatively near future. However, there is a very good argument for DR, and I'm going to be linking this video to you guys that you should definitely watch. A point that Armin makes that I highly agree with, I've already mentioned it, but surviving the Blade Spin and Red Rain is the importance. And he understands that that's not going to happen until he reaches C9 DR with Duo Dead God. We're not going to have Dead God available on console for a hot minute. It's going to be a while. So this is not a C9, like this is not going to be C9 on console, right? This is more like full C13, if not higher. So we are really far away from his build reaching how... We are very far away from being able to reach this build. However, the reason I think he's going for this build, because he understands that having a DR build with the extra accuracy from the Begs, with the crazy amount of AP applied from the Nuva, is going to be more effective for the time he has to invest in the game. He understands that getting C20 Evasion is probably years down the line for him, so this is what's better for him. Because end of the day, it's been... People that are where Yelo are in agreement that Evasion is better. But in terms of your time and your effectiveness, DR is just more effective in killing people from low to medium end to the lower high end player base. So, like I said, questions you need to ask yourself: are you happy with being a bit weaker and sticking with Evasion for now and catching up and keeping up with players like myself? Or do you have the mindset of, I want to be as strong as possible where I am now, and I'm never going to really be able to keep up with these endgame players, so I want to have the option to kill them and be efficient at doing so, then DR is better. So that's how I see it. But there are so many really good topics that Armin goes over in terms of gear. Please watch what he has to say here. It's around, I think, the 43-minute mark he starts. Yeah, so this is where he starts. He's loading in his planner. And all the way up to, like, his RBF. So in this RBF, the first half, even pretty much just watch all of it. But like up till around here, like he does talk about progression and gear progression and decisions you want to make on the Ninja, and he makes some really good points, okay? So please watch it and see what you guys want to do with gear. I know I've talked about this for a long time, but now that that's out of the way, let's talk about, like I've been talking about how I want to get better on the Ninja, right? So, there's a few things I'm going to be working on that to improve my gameplay. Like I said, I've mastered, in my opinion, I've mastered the basics of Ninja, the basic movements and stuff. Like I said, I've got some issues with cooldown management, so that's something I still need to get better at. However, there's some advanced stuff that I recently learned before actually watching Armin's videos from accident, in terms of this really cool Fox Claw cancel. I know you couldn't really see much there, but that would actually float someone. I did this by accident a few times, like a month back, and I didn't really think much about it. I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. I got a few catches with it just by accidental inputs, not intentional. And then I forgot about it. And then a couple weeks ago, I was watching a Yelo fight where he's fighting a striker, and I noticed he did this this cancel with Fox Claw, which you can't go step into. Something that you need to realize. He did this like cool cancel with Fox Claw and a striker, and I was like, bro, that's insane. And then I was kind of trying to practice it, but I didn't really know the best ways of getting into it, the best ways of using it, the most efficient ways of then getting out of it, right? So I understood it. It's like, okay, I understood how this Fox Claw cancel works, but I didn't know how to use it. And as I was trying to use it, I've been trying to use it, I was having more failure than success. But I'm still like, when I'm fighting players that aren't as good as me, I'm still trying to practice using it against them. When I'm fighting players like Zect, no, I don't, like, that's just going to get me killed. I don't learn much other than I'm going to die here. So I've been practicing it in other places which you haven't really seen me use. But then I came across Armin through Frosty and this whole Ninja tournament that's happening on PC right now, and I didn't even know this YouTube channel existed. This goldmine, this video right here, I'll be linking down below, goldmine of information right here. I'm going to be practicing this heavily. I'm probably still going to have a high failure rate with it, but eventually I'm going to master this Fox Claw cancel because it's super good. And the ways he's shown using it in real gameplay, it's really good. Like, one of my biggest issues in large scale is the re-CC, and this is what's really going to help me bridge that, oh wait, you can't see it, sorry. Let me switch screens, I apologize. But over here, so this video is the one I was talking about just a second ago. He talks about all the different ways you can cancel it, and he shows you how he likes to use it. He talks about optimal ways of using it, and then he gives examples at the end of like actual, I think he gave an example, maybe it's halfway through. I remember him actually showing him using it in the somewhere as well. I think maybe it's, yeah, I think here it is. So around like the 9 minute 40 seconds, he shows you like in-game practice of how he uses this Foxclaw cancel. And a great advice that he's given that I'm going to be using is practicing is the re-CC. And like I said, for me, one of my biggest issues with Suck Ninja and group fights and 1vxing is I can move around. Like I've still got to work on my movement. I can move around and CC someone, but then the re-CC is what I really struggle on this class. And this is something that is really going to help me personally. Seeing how he's used it is going to help me tremendously. Because right now, like Awakened Ninja, I'm preferring those 1vx scenarios because in terms of the re-CC, the Serpents is the easy re-CC, right? Or a 50% Katana Shower is an easy re-CC that's reliable and it allows you to kill your opponents. Whereas on Suck, I'm finding like I'm trying to use like disengage and then re-engage with the Shadow Stomp, but I'm getting CC'd. I'm trying to do stuff like Ghost Step into a Crescent Slash, straight into SA, which is actually quite good, it's really good, but again, there is a gap in the Crescent Slash, so I do get sometimes CC'd out of that. But that's a more effective one that I've been using. But this kind of Foxclaw cancel that he uses, doing like where he CCs, let's go back a little bit, let's make it bigger. Let's slow it down as well, because this man be fast, son. This man be fast. Let's slow it down a little bit. So he just did it there. Let's go back. So he's going to get the initial CC on one of them, I think, in just a second. So you see the warrior's kind of waiting. The warrior over here is waiting for him to catch this guy so he can come in and catch Armin, right? So he got the CC there. Warrior comes in, he did the Foxclaw cancel to catch both of them. That's really cool. Another one, I don't know if he shows, yeah, I think he does. Another really cool one that I'm going to be practicing more is after, actually this is a completely different one. This is a really cool thing he does with it as well. Boom, he CC'd, he just floated 3 people right there with the Foxclaw. He didn't have the gear to follow up, unfortunately, but that was pretty sick, right? There is another one he showed, which I'm going to be practicing, is with block jump into it. So, oh, let's go back. But you need to watch this video to understand it. I'm just showing you how he's using it and how I'm going to be practicing it. You guys need to watch this video, all right? You need to watch it. It's super important. So we're going to see, this is how I'm going to be practicing at the beginning, and then I'll be expanding in other, and do the block jump. Boom, he does the Foxclaw cancel right there, gets both of them. That's how the first way I'm going to practice it, and then I'm going to expand on that, because for me, I can't learn like 6 different ways of doing something at the same time. I learn one at a time. That's how I succeed at learning my class, is one thing at a time. If you guys can do 6 things at the same time and learn it, go ahead and do it that way. So that's what I'm working on right now. And then this is another one. I've got a huge problem with stamina management. I can definitely say that like I've mastered the basic movement, but I haven't mastered stamina management in my movement. So he doesn't quite go over how to do stamina management in the movement, but he does go through when you're low stamina, how to use your movement, right? So this is again really, really useful, and it's something I'm going to be practicing on my Suck Ninja to just be better rather than just disengaging. So right now, like what you see me do a lot is when I'm playing this class, right, it's like I'll get low on stamina. Okay, that doesn't get me low on stamina. Right, when I'm like low on stamina, I like just disengage, and that's the example of I just don't know what to do, right? Like I don't know, I get low on stamina, I disengage, and I'm like doing stuff like this, and this is actually not what I want to be. This is what I'm doing right now, but after seeing his video, this is not what I want to be doing at all. This is not a good way of regaining stamina, right? A good way of regaining stamina, which he will show in that video a lot more in depth than I'm going to show you here, because I'll probably mess it up in a second because I haven't practiced it yet, would be like, oh, okay, you're low. Let's say I'm low on stamina. Let's drain the stamina again. He uses cancels that I just don't use, right? So I already messed it up there, but stuff like that, you can see I went back up to like 50 stamina and was moving consistently there by using my movement skills in ways that I don't currently use them. So that's how I'm planning on improving myself. Another little cool thing, so I've watched all the videos. For me, I already knew everything that he shows in these three, but again, if you're newer, or maybe like, even if you're not newer, like I actually did learn one very important thing that I noticed that I don't, oh, you can't see it again, apologies. So over here in these videos, it's a lot to watch, right? Let's go back here. I knew kind of almost everything he had to say, but I learned one thing that I don't do that he does that I didn't even know about. Like, I know some of you may already know this. You'd be like, how the hell didn't you know? But I didn't, all right? So what I've been doing, if you watch my gameplay, is I use alert stance. Sorry, I did shadow. I don't know why I did that. I use alert stance into fatal blow. Cool, right? That's okay. Sometimes I just use like fatal blow by itself. That's still cool. Like, there are scenarios where you do need to do that. So I'm happy I've learned the muscle memory of how to use fatal blow for that. But one way I've never used fatal blow is through shadow stomp to cancel I actually did a bit slow there, but to cancel the end animation. And the reason I've never done this is because the way my controller paddles are set up, it's actually a little bit difficult. There we go, that's how you do it properly. For me, it's not intuitive because on my right paddle, on my right side is my X button, and my hands aren't that massive. So like pressing back X and left trigger and right trigger and right bumper is hard. Like having my ring finger on right trigger, my index finger on right bumper, as well as my my finger that's next to, I don't know what the hell it's called. I guess my ring finger on the X paddle is a bit of a stretch for me. Like it's not easy. So it's harder for me to do. So I haven't been doing it, right? I'm not going to reconfigure my paddles for this movement because my muscle memory, I've been using this paddle setup for a long time. So I'm just going to get better at doing it. So that's something I'm going to be actively practicing. This is really good because as you can see, both the fatal blow and the shadow stomp don't use stamina. Obviously the ghost step does, but they don't. So this is like not only really good for movement, but it actually speeds up shadow stomp and increases the range. I think you can change direction as well. Let's have a look. Yeah, so you can you can do some crazy cool stuff with this movement that I have never thought about doing. So this is why it's really important to watch other people, right? Like, obviously, like, duel your friends on console, learn from them, learn what they know, but watch other people, not just myself. I don't know everything, all right? I'm learning from people like Armin. Sometimes I learn stuff by accident, but I don't know what I've learned until I watch something like this. And like, okay, I know what I learned, but I don't know how to use it properly, and it probably would have taken me a long time to be able to use Foxclaw the ways he shows in this video. So it's a nice shortcut. So keep an eye out, not just Armin, not just Yelo, but other people on Twitch, other people on YouTube. Watch their montages, watch them play live, watch their clips, and see if you notice anything. See if you notice them do something that you don't do that might be effective. It's really hard though to understand you saw something that might be useful to you, right? Like, I've probably seen Yelo use this cancel a bunch, but I never noticed it until I accidentally did it one day, and I was like, oh, then I knew what to look out for, right? So that's basically my advice to you guys. Keep an eye out. If you want to get better at the class, it's not just about practicing what you know. It's about going outside your comfort zone and learning from other people what they know. Maybe sometimes it's not good for the way you play, right? But even if it's not good for the way you play, you still need to understand it. So if someone else uses it against you, you then know how to counter it. Like a little example I'm going to give you. It's very easy to do. It takes a few minutes of practice to master it. But something I watched Yelo do that's been like incredibly cool for me on console. I catch people with this all the time now. Not players like Zek, right? I caught Zek with this a few times, and then I told him what I was doing. He would have figured it out anyway after like probably 15 minutes more of dueling, because he's very good at picking up on what players do and learning how to react and counter what they're doing. But this works against so many, especially in the mirror match, any class that relies on forward guard. This catch is amazing. Obviously you can't use it forever, because if they're a good player, they're going to cotton on to what you're doing and they're going to counter it. But like I said, I learned this from watching Yelo. This movement chain right here for a catch is so OP. You don't want to use it at the beginning of the fight. Like usually at the beginning, you know, you're moving around, you're letting your opponent burn a few, a few movement chains, and then when he's not expecting it, you do, you do block jump into a back go step cancel. So as soon as you come out the block jump, you're doing back go step, you're immediately pressing A, your jump button, to do smoke screen. You then change your camera positioning. You can either keep looking at your opponent if you want to go through your opponent to the other side, or to the left, or to the right, or further away, because he's moving further away and you want to keep up with him to hit him with that beheading. It's super versatile because your opponent is having to react to 3 CCs, right? 1 is your block jump CC, 2 is your smoke screen CC, 3 is your beheading CC. And all 3 of these CCs are coming from a different location. So until they realize what you're doing and they caught onto it, it's super powerful. So put that in your kit. Practice using it, but don't rely on it too much. This is a huge mistake I made in my early days it's not a mistake, it's just a learning curve. You're gonna rely on it a lot when it's working, right? But then you need to understand that if it's not working, you've got to change your game plan. One huge problem I had when I was learning the class way back in the day, like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, or year plus ago, whenever it was, one of my things I relied on a lot was on Awakening was blade spin into smoke screen, into concealment, into beheading. This was like a catch that I relied on so much. Between that and block jump, those are the 2 ways I was catching people. I wasn't using other stuff really to catch them, and I relied on it too heavily, which cost me. But in the long run, at least I mastered those things. I've mastered block jump at the minute, and I've mastered on Awakening when to do the blade spin, smoke screen concealment, beheading cancel. It's not so good on Succession though. I don't recommend that chain on Succession. It's better on Awakening. But if you want a little bit of help, this is going to help you guys in terms of learning the button presses for the yellow catch that I just showed you. Once you go into block jump, you want to hold left trigger, keep holding it, you're going to tap forward and then immediately tap backwards. So before you even get into block, just hold left trigger and just do forward back. Just practice this, right? Obviously go steps on cooldown. Just practice this, right? And then all you're going to do, once you practice that, is press A at the end. Practice that a few times. Once you got that locked down, it's going to become really easy, because that's kind of the hard part. It's honestly not that hard to learn, but if you just want to speed up your learning process, is hold left trigger the entire time when you're in block jump, and then tap forward and back. And then you just remember, tap A after you tap back, right? And that's going to really simplify it for you. Now I'll show it to you with the whole thing involved. So once you hit your block jump, I'm holding left trigger, forward back A, right trigger. I was talking and doing skills, I apologize. But yeah, so it's LTX for the beheading, not just X, because you're going to do a grab like I just did. So that's a really cool catch. Practice it, try not to rely on it, and adapt from it. But this is really, really strong, okay? It's not the best thing in the world, but put it in your kit. You need to first learn how to use it. You're probably going to use it a bit too much at the beginning, but then eventually it's a tool in your kit that you can use when the time is right. Learn everything one step at a time if that's how you're good at it, or learn everything at the same time if you're a master learner, all right? I'm not, I'm a bit slow, I'm a bit older. I do one thing at a time. So anyway, that's everything I gotta say. Hopefully this video has helped you guys out. If it has, do consider sharing it, do consider leaving a like, and if you are coming back to my channel, please do subscribe. Let me know if there's any ways you guys are thinking about improving your gameplay for yourself, or any tips and tricks that you have for me. Like, you've been watching me play, you're a better ninja than I am. That's cool, bro. Let me know how I can get as good as you. Ask questions from other ninjas that, like, you see other ninjas outperforming you. Yo, ask them what they do. If they don't really know something, a lot of the times people don't really know what they're doing, they're just doing it. Fight them, right? Be like, yo, can you just come BA with me for like an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours? Fight that person, right? And then even if he doesn't know what he's doing, if you can pick up on it, then that's cool, bro. Like, that's important. If you've got a way to record the fight, if you have to just do like record last couple minutes or last minute every now and again, do it that way. If you have a capture device to record the fight, like, fight him and then watch it back. This is something like YouTube's helped me, like, because of YouTube, it's helped me a lot with learning how to play this game, because I'm always watching back my footage, so I can really see, like, oh, this is really why I made the mistake here, or this is really why it worked here. Or especially when I'm fighting other ninjas, I'd be like, oh, cool, like, I didn't see it when I was fighting him, but now that I can just focus on what he's doing, I could be like, oh, cool, so he did this movement chain into that movement chain, which linked really well to counter my forward guard or my gap in this situation, right? So basically, I've been rambling for 36 minutes here. Hopefully this has been good information. I did the outro and I'm going to do the outro again. Please like, comment, subscribe, share it with other guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you guys in the next video.